Stay out of the court of self-judgment, for there is never a presumption of innocence. Well, again, last night we began to fight like all the times before, when suddenly I felt strange through and through. The things in my head and the words that I said didn't make sense anymore. So if I could leave me now, yes I would. Well, it's hard to see how I stayed with me, now that my eyes are open and my bags are packed, sitting by the door. Well, I could go somewhere, but I'd still be there. So secretly I'm hoping that I can stick around until I found who I am once more. Well, if I could leave me now, I'd already be gone. I would have wrote a goodbye note to read as I moved on. Someday maybe I'll catch up with me, that'll feel real good. But if I could leave me now, yes I would. Yes, if I could leave me now, yes I would. And if I could leave me now, yes I would. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. Probably one of the more famous Bible verses, the one we use to beat ourselves up endlessly. The one that we will use to destroy whatever we think we might be doing. The one that we will use to take everything that we think we know and say, you're wrong. Do not judge, lest ye be judged. And most of the judgments that we have in our mind are based on our own selves. Most of the judgments that we make are about ourselves. We will judge ourselves against some of the most remarkable situations, against some of the most remarkable standards. We will discover that we fall short of that, and we will use that to condemn ourselves. We do. It's what we do. We are our own worst enemy. Here's the problem with that. Stay out of the court of self-judgment, for there is never a presumption of innocence. We think we're guilty. We do. And count me amongst those. Count me amongst those. Have you ever talked yourself into something that you knew you really shouldn't have done? But at the moment it sounded like a good idea. And then you do it and it didn't necessarily work out. Now what becomes of that? Well, we use that as a judgment against ourselves to say, well, I guess we're just really not that good. We don't have that ability. We use it to fill the can. We put that into the big old pile that we have in our minds that says, can't do it. Can't. And that can gets very full of stuff. The can gets very, very full of stuff. Heard a line on the show one time, the guy was talking to this other guy and said, "You can't do that, can you?" And the guy says, "No, I just haven't learned how yet." That's an entirely different mindset. That's an entirely different way of doing things. The one presumes that it's never going to happen, and no matter what we do, we can't. The other one presumes, well, sure I can. Just haven't learned how yet. So now I got to find somebody or something that's going to teach me how to do that. We were talking last week about angels. Angels teach us some amazing things. Angels oftentimes are the things that teach us that very lesson that we need to learn. You know? We have no excuse. You who pass judgment on someone else, for at whatever point you judge another, you are condemning yourself. Because you who pass judgment do the same things. In this day, in this election year, it's very easy to get trapped in the memes of this candidate can't and that candidate can't. And here's why this person's bad, and here's why that person's bad. And here's why this group of people is bad, and here's why that group of people is bad. And all we get bombarded with is this group is bad, that person is bad, this thing can't, won't, bad. You keep getting that over and over and over. Do not tell me your failures, tell me your successes. Tell me your successes. Tell yourselves your successes. What can you do now that you did not know how to do 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 minutes ago? What can you do? Working with the kids in the school, they're hysterical. They're middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they know everything. So they're on the verge of knowing everything. As soon as they turn 13, they suddenly know everything. And when they turn 15, your parents become idiots. You know, it's just how that works. It's just how that works. And it's fun watching that. It's fun watching that. Because they will talk themselves out of something. They will absolutely talk themselves out of things. And it's all happening right there. It's all happening right there. No one else is telling them that. No one else is saying a word about it. But right up there, in this little echo chamber between the ears, oh man, they'll talk themselves out of some of the most amazing things. I can't spell that word. I can't write a complete sentence. I can't. I said, well, you just spoke in a complete sentence. Yeah, but I can't write that. Okay. Which word can't you spell? Oh, I know how to spell all those words. Okay. So that complete sentence, I know how to spell all those words. Can you write that down? Sure, I know how to spell all those words. Here, that's a complete sentence. Remember, you just said you can't do that. But you just proved that you can. Stop saying can't. Say I can, or I still haven't learned. And I'm willing to learn. Because in the end, that's really what matters more than anything else. Our commitment to ourselves and our commitment to the world around us. Are we invested in ourselves? Most people would say that they are, and then I watch their actions and I know that they're not. Butterflies can't see their wings. They can't see how truly beautiful they are, but everyone else can. People are like that as well. We will see that picture in the mirror, and it doesn't look like the one you see in the magazines, and it doesn't look like the one you see on TV. And it doesn't look like it did 40 years ago. And we will use that as a judgment on ourselves. Self-judgment is evil. Evil, I say, evil. Because we will use those judgments as an example of real. We will make the self-judgments the reality. Watching this guy talking this week, he was talking about value perception. and the idea of paralysis by analysis. The idea that sometimes we have so many choices that we will choose nothing because there are too many choices. And he brought up an interesting point, so I went down to Publix to check it out. Did you know at Publix, right now, there are 279 flavors of salad dressing? I want you to think about it. 279 flavors of salad dressing. Now those are just the pre-made ones. That's not counting the little packet things they have here on the side that you add some other stuff and you can mix it up, or if you like experimenting like I do with different flavors and herbs and stuff. That's cool. 279 choices of salad dressing. And I was watching this one lady, and she's standing there, and she's just kind of looking at this. And she's just scanning back and forth, and scanning back and forth, and scanning back. She must have spent 30, 40 seconds there, and they just passed on without getting anything. There were too many choices. We think the idea that having an unlimited number of choices is a good thing. And in some respects it is. Absolutely. And in some respects it paralyzes us because we have too many choices. I don't know which one to pick. There's so many. So I'll pick none of them. Guy talked about going into the store and he bought a pair of jeans. He said, now the last pair of jeans I bought was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, you walk into the store, you say, I want a pair of jeans. They take you over to the rack of jeans, and you pick the one that's your size. They're horribly uncomfortable for a while. You wash them a few times, a few thousand times, whatever it takes, and then they get nice and soft, and then they're perfect. He had that same pair of jeans for 40 years. Those jeans got holes in them. Had to go back and get another pair of jeans. He walks into the store, he said, well, I need to get a pair of jeans. Very good. Would you like the pant cut, the straight cut, the slim fit, the tight fit, acid wash, this distressed, that kind of distressed? And he just kind of looks at the guy and said, I want a pair of jeans, like the ones that I had. He said, but on the plus side, I had over 100 possible combinations of jeans. I had 100 choices, and how great was that? He said, I got those jeans home, and I realized how ungreat that was. Because the jeans that I got weren't perfect. And in my mind, I said, with 100 choices, one of those has to be perfect. One of those choices must be perfect. And they weren't. And he assumed that was because he was too difficult. He had 100 choices, and because none of them were perfect, that was his fault. How about the idea that there's just not a perfect pair? And then move on. And that's kind of it's a pair of jeans. We don't necessarily get too wrapped up in stuff like that. But we do get wrapped up in our own little things. We all have things. We always have things. A person may think their own ways are right. The Lord weighs the heart. We will make choices, we will make decisions based on the information that we have, the information that we process, and what we've learned. And we will make a choice, we will make a decision. And then when it comes time to put that decision into action, sometimes we will stop ourselves from doing it. Because again, our little judge and jury is sitting right up there in our brain saying, guilty of idiocy. Guilty of stupidity. Guilty of not knowing. We will paralyze ourselves into doing nothing. Absolutely paralyze. Which is an interesting idea. It's a very interesting concept. The world rotates. Does everybody know that? Gravity, 20,000 miles an hour, hurtling through space. Okay. One of the things that we hold on to is that, and you know friends that say this, and you know that you've heard them. I hate change. I hate change. I want things to stay the same. Can't have change. Things have to stay the same. One thing we know for certain that it's true, the one constant in the universe is change. We are in a constant state of becoming something else. We are in a constant state. All the cells in our body replicate themselves every 8 years. Every 8 years, it's a whole new batch. Whole new batch. It's just a fact. We're spinning on our axis, we're spinning around our solar system, moving through things, spinning around all the time. We are in a constant state of change. So what can we do with that knowledge? One thing we can do is the things that we thought we don't do and the things that we thought we can't do, we can undo that thinking. We can change that thought. One of my dreams when I was a child was to be a professional baseball player. It is what I wanted more than anything else. My hero was Willie Mays. Loved watching that man play. What a talent. I wanted to be just like Willie Mays. I was 4 years old at the time. And you must imagine my consternation when I discovered that no matter how good I got at playing baseball, I was never going to turn black. When you're 4, anything's possible. My mom laughed. The neighbors laughed. They thought that was one of the funniest things. So you want to get so good that you're going to turn? Yeah. Because I thought that's what a good baseball player had to look like. I'm glad I don't think that anymore. I'm glad I've outgrown that. And still, there's a beauty to that. There's a purity to that thought. Why can't I? Change the I can't to why can't I? We were talking last week about authentic angels, these wonderful people that show up in our lives at various points in time that remind us of things. Henry Cloud did this for me. If we demand perfection from ourselves, we are not living in the real world. The inherent problem in the relationship between the ideal and the real is that the ideal judges the real as unacceptable and brings down condemnation and wrath on the real. This sets up an adversarial relationship between the two, and like all adversaries, they move further and further apart. We have this little picture in our world of what an ideal world will look like. And when the real world doesn't line up with our ideals, we will look for the faults. We will look for, well, it's not right because either of that person or that person or that group or that location. And if I only just moved to there, that things will change. And if I only did this, and if I only did this, and if I only did this, and if I only did this. We are chasing the ideal. One of the beautiful things about being in church, we can talk about ideal worlds. But at some point in time, we have to walk out the door. And we got to get into the real world where there are real people with real problems and real issues. And they don't like me because of pick a physical attribute. And they don't like you because pick a physical attribute. And that's okay. That's the real world, though. Let us not deny that that's true. But I know for me, I know that God has such an amazing plan for me. To love one another. It's a simple plan. It doesn't require massive amounts of study and thought and this class, the other class, this chart, that chart, the other chart. It doesn't require any of that stuff. It requires one thing and one thing only. It requires my acceptance of that truth. Can I accept that as true? Everything else feeds off of that. When we start from a place of love, when we start from a place of compassion, everything else takes care of itself. It always does. It always does. Now, it may not work out how we thought it was going to work out. When this building was built, I promise you, what's on this campus now is not what was designed. When that large building was built, at that point in time, Unity Church had anywhere from 150 to 175 people on Sundays. This room was full. The lobby was full. We had a TV And speakers set up out on the back patio so that everyone could participate in the service. We were thinking about having to move to 2 services. Had too many people. Built a big building. 500-seat sanctuary. That was all for Unity Church in the Woods. This whole thing was for Unity Church in the Woods. Moved into there, and within 6 months we've gone from 175 down to 40. Anybody ever heard if you build it, they will come? Yeah, this was kind of exactly that, except the opposite. It was exactly that, but exactly the opposite. What we discovered was people don't like to be in a financial struggle. And believe it or not, some of the people that I talked to, and it still blows my mind to think that they're actually thinking this and that they're actually doing this. Some of the people did not feel worthy enough to be in a building like that. That still just blows my mind. That still blows my mind. You don't feel worthy? Let me go get my Bible. Hang on a second. I'm sure there's something in there about that. And there is. There's lots of stuff about it. And still, from what they have been told from when they were small children, all the way through to the current time, what they believed was true was that they were not worthy. I found that amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anybody in here ever go and test drive a Lamborghini? She did. Yeah, she did. You know you can do that, right? Yeah, you go to the Ferrari dealership, you go to the Lamborghini dealership, take it out for a test drive. You don't have to buy it. No. But you can take it out for a test drive. You're worthy. Do you play piano? No. Do you ever go to a piano store and cut loose on a grand piano? Not the baby grand, I mean a big grand piano. Crack that top open and you just start banging on things like chopsticks or something. It freaks them out. They just start laughing and they think, but it's magnificent. It is magnificent. You should do that sometime. That's a whole lot of fun. There's other places where we have placed a value on things. And we have decided that our value does not measure up to that value. Now, that's not true. That is absolutely not true, and yet we will talk ourselves into it because we have established what our ideal is. And in our real world and truth on that ideal world, and we measure ourselves as less than ideal. I don't know how to break it to you, but we are. We are less than ideal. We are. That's why there's so many of us. Think about this for a second. The reason that there are so many of us is because if we were all ideal, well, we would be God. We are all facets on the same diamond. We all sparkle and shine in our own unique, beautiful way. And every one of those facets is absolutely necessary and absolutely critical for the entire diamond. We are not ideal. Have we ever had a thought about somebody that wasn't necessarily a really great thought? I can't believe that person did that guy cut me off the track. What an idiot. Look at this person walking through the crosswalk. Taking their sweet time, going across the crosswalk. We'll stop for ducks. We'll stop for turtles. We'll get out and we'll help them. If it's a human being, we'll honk the horn and crowd. What is our problem? We do. We do. Understand that about ourselves. Since everything changes, can we change that? Of course we can. Of course we can. You really want to freak out the cars behind you sometime? Stop before making a right on red. stop at a stop sign. I mean stop before proceeding through. You will get honked at. If you're making a right on red and you actually stop and then make the right on red, you will get honked at. It's hysterical. And it's so. It's so. We do not need to live with this ideal world. Ideals are something to be aimed at. Something to be held up as, this is perfection, and it is my job to strive for that. Am I ever going to achieve absolute, utter perfection? No, I'm not God. Not. And it is on me to keep trying each and every day. How do I achieve perfection? By loving. By being a kind, passionate human being. By spending time with people and saying, you matter. You're important. What happens to you happens to me. Your success is my success. Your pain is my pain. This is what works for me. This is how I get to my ideal. Let us stop passing judgment on one another. Make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in the way of a brother or sister. And again, remember, this starts with us too. We need to stop putting up our own blocks. Okay? Now you notice there's no 15-step plan on how to do this. There is no checklist of things that we have to go through. Okay, well first we do this, then we do this, then we do this, then we do this, then we do this, and now I'm done passing judgment. There's no checklist. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. You want a checklist? There's your checklist. 2 steps. The first part of that is understanding that the world doesn't revolve around us. Try and convince a teenager of that. Good luck. But the world doesn't revolve around us. And that person is as important as I am. And I am as important as that person. That's the other part. The world does not revolve around me. And thee and I are equally important. Thee and I equally matter. Not one above, but side by side. In the end, it's about the choices that we make. It's about knowing this truth. Never go tapping into the lives of others like you know them and their story. Their story is not yours. Tell yours, but that is all you know. And I would add to that, and your story is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. One of my favorite sections of the library is the biography and autobiography section. And it could be by anybody, I don't care. People are fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Can we ever get to that point when we realize that what we do matters? Has outrageously great value. And then see that in everyone else that you see. Not some, everyone. Can we ever get to that point? I don't know. I don't know if we can. But it's sure worth trying. Because some of the stories you're going to hear along the way are amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Olympics have been going on for 2 weeks. One of the best parts about the Olympics for me is hearing the stories of these athletes and how they got to where they are. And every one of the stories has exactly the same path. Exactly the same path. Oh, they're going to have the same starting point. No, we're starting from all these different countries in the world and all different kind of economic conditions. And this is different and that's different and that. But the path is exactly the same. Exactly the same. Number one, they were committed to doing. Absolutely, utterly committed to doing. And number two, the people around them said, we'll help. And that's the story of every one of them. That is the story of us. The story of us is, are we committed to doing it? And can we find people who will say, sure, how can I help? Unity was never designed to be a religion. Unity was never designed to be a church. Unity was designed to augment what people already believe. For instance, okay, you're Jewish, excellent, great, how can we help? You're Muslim, great, how can we help? You're atheist, great, how can we help? You're agnostic, great, how can we help? If you call Silent Unity, we put their number up there all the time. You call Silent Unity, they don't care. They're not even going to ask. What would you like to pray for? What would you like to pray for? How long do you want to do it? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a little over 100 years. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. In the end, it comes down to choices. You got to take a gamble. You have to trust and know that things are in fact going to work. Not only are they going to work, but they're going to work fantastically. They are going to work. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for the wind, fed up with the gambler, we were both too tired to speak. So we took turns to stare out the window at the darkness. Boredom overtook us. He began to speak. Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces, for a taste of your whiskey, give you some advice. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bumped a cigarette, asked me for a light, and the night got deadly quiet. His face lost all expression, said if you're gonna play the game, boy, you better learn to play it right. You gotta know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough to count when the deal's done. Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner, every hand's a loser. The best that you can hope for is to die in the sleep. Wait in the street, turn back toward the window, push down a cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the night, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could give. You got to know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough to count when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold, Know when to pull, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. While you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the deal's done. Don't we know that song? We know that story. And it's true. There is a great truth to that song. You gotta know when. We must be committed to what we're doing, and we must be willing to let others help. And to that I would also add, let's just cut ourselves a little slack sometimes. That's all I'm going to say.